What is up, guys? Stark here. In today's character spotlight, I'm taking a look at the final member of the Miyuki Club currently available on Global, and that is going to be Rama. So Rama is a 4-star saber, and despite their looks, he is a guy. Not quite as trappy as Astolfo, but still kind of close. I wasn't entirely sure. So he is a saber and a 4-star, so he will go up to level 80, and at level 80 he will have 11,993 HP and 9,854 attack. So overall he will rank 36th overall in HP and 33rd overall in attack. If you do decide to go ahead and max him out completely, he will end up with 16,541 HP and 13,931 attack. So moving on here to his servant skills, first up is going to be the Warrior's Blessing A. This is a self buff that will increase critical star gather rate for 1 turn, as well as increase his critical strength for 1 turn. So this is a very nice skill. However, Rama doesn't really have that much support as far as, crits. He doesn't have any way of getting crit stars. He doesn't have any way of increasing his absorption rate. He's not really good as far as his base stats go for crits. So you do need some support with him in order to make this first skill effective, but there are quite a few characters out there that can help him in those sorts of categories, and then once you have that on your team, you can use this first skill, and then it'll become a very good skill to use. Moving on here to his second skill is going to be the Charisma B. This will increase the attack of all allies for 3 turns. So, at this point we've already established how good Charisma is. So for Rama, it's going to be a 9% increase at level 1 and an 18% increase at level 10. So it's definitely not the best, but anytime you have Charisma, it's always going to help. Moving on here to his third and final skill, it's going to be the Curse of Separation A. This will apply Guts 1 time over the course of 3 turns, and then it will also heal him a little bit. So he'll heal 1,000 HP at level 1 and 3,000 HP at level 10. Moving on here to his class skills, first up is the Magic Resistance A, which will increase debuff resistance by 20%. His second class skill is Writing A+, which will increase quick card effectiveness by 11%. And third and finally, he has the Divinity A, which will apply damage plus 200. So moving on here to his Ascension. First up, for his first Ascension, he's going to need 4 saber pieces. For his second Ascension, he's going to need 10 saber pieces and 8 Siege of Yggdrasil. So now moving on here to his third Ascension, he's going to need 4 saber monuments, 4 hearts of the foreign god, and then he's going to need 4 octuplet crystals. And then for his fourth and final Ascension, he's going to need 10 saber monuments, 8 octuplet crystals, and he's going to need 4 spirit roots. And then for his skill enhancements for 1 skill from level 1 to 10, you're going to need 14 gems of the saber, 14 magic gems of the saber, 14 secret gems of the saber, 6 hearts of the foreign god, 15 seeds of Yggdrasil, 12 claws of chaos, 60 evil bones, 1 crystallized lore, and 27,200,000 quantum pieces. So now moving on here to his command cards and his normal Phantasm. He has 1 quick, 2 arts, 2 busters, and then for his normal Phantasm, it's going to be a buster card as well. And this will deal significant damage to a single enemy, and then on the overcharge, it will deal special damage to demonic enemies. So this is a pretty solid normal Phantasm that can do a ton of damage. However, there aren't too many demonic enemies in the game at the moment, so that's a little bit of a drawback, but obviously as they come out in the game, it's going to be more and more useful. And one of the characters that does deal extra damage to is going to be, should be the next event in the game, the Shuten Doji event. Now Global has been a little bit different with releases, but I believe that is the next event, so Rama would be pretty useful against her. But overall, it is a, it's a pretty solid normal Phantasm, single target that will deal a ton of damage. So now moving on to some of the craft essences you can use on Rama. First up is going to be the Indestructible Sword. This is the level 10 Bond craft essence. And what this will do is it will increase critical strength of all allies by 25% while on the field. It's definitely not the best option you could use though. You would rather use something like Victor of the Moon for the buster card increase and the critical strength increase. You could also go with a Knight's Dignity for the 40% increase to critical strength. However, you do sacrifice 20% defense, so that's definitely going to be a high risk, high reward type of situation. You could also go ahead and use the Verdant Sound of Destruction or the Limited Zero Over for the buster card increase overall. You could also go with Kaleidoscope to start your, to start the round with your Noble Phantasm filled. in case you need it at the start of a fight maybe, or you could also go with the Black Grail for the massive increase to your Noble Phantasm strength. So there definitely are quite a few craft essences you could use on him. It just depends on what team composition you're going for. So whatever one you pick, you know, just alternate in whatever craft essence he needs that will supplement whatever weakness he doesn't gain from the other allies you're using with him. So now let's move on here to the character and review portion. First up is going to be some of the servants you could use. Now firstly, a lot of the servants that go really well with Rama are not currently available on Global, so I won't really touch base on them too much. So I did pick a few servants that are available on Global that you could make pretty solid use of. So first up is going to be Amia the Assassin. Now, he's pretty good because he's an assassin, so he'll have really high star rates, so you're going to be getting a lot of stars with him, and he does have a lower weight than Rama, so chances are most it'll be split between the two. And he does have two good skills where he can increase Rama's crit strength and gain some critical stars as well, so he does mesh pretty well with him overall. Next up is going to be Julius Caesar. Now, he's really good, especially with his rank up quest for his third skill, because this will let you target Rama and increase his critical strength for 3 turns and his critical star drop rate. So that's going to buff up his already good damage for crit strength, and it's also going to allow him to increase the star rate, so you're going to get more star drops with him. And then using his first skill, you'll be able to increase your absorption and just take all those stars in for yourself. And Caesar doesn't have that much of a good star absorption as well, so again, it's going to be split, but odds are, you know, a decent amount are going to be going to Rama. And then for his Noble Phantasm, it also gains a pretty good amount at 25 of crit stars. So you could just throw those into the pool with your skills, and you're going to have quite a bit of stars for Rama. Now, it won't be a consistent base, but it'll definitely be something good for like a burst turn. Next up, we have William Shakespeare. Now, he does similar stuff to Caesar with the increase in critical star drop rate. Now, this is going to be for all allies, so all allies are going to produce more stars, which in turn will help with Rama when you use his first skill for absorption. And then he also has his first skill here, which will increase Buster Card effectiveness. So you could use that the turn you're going to use Rama's Noble Phantasm for a little bit of a buff in damage there. So last but not least, we have Brynn Hilde. Now, she is pretty good with her Noble Phantasm, allowing all allies to have increased critical star drop rates. So again, this is going to produce more stars for your team. And then with her third skill and Rama's first skill, you're going to be able to increase the critical star gather rate. Essentially, all you're doing is trying to get Rama as many stars as possible while he's using his skills to increase his crit strength. And then if you do have the craft essence there for more, you know, for extra crit damage, he's going to be turning out a lot of damage and a lot of crits. So that's kind of what you need to do with him if you want to use him somewhat effectively. Just find some servants that can boost his, you know, crit stats that he lacks, so the gather rate and the crit stars and crit strength. If you can get anything in there, just throw it on him. He'll definitely benefit from it. So now moving on to the actual rankings. First up, for his stat ranking, I'm going to give him a 3.8 out of 5. He's got some really high stats, top 50 in both stats. So, you know, he definitely has some of the better stats in the game, especially for a 4-star. Next up, for his skills, I'm giving him a 3-star in the skills. His first skill is, like I said, it's pretty good, but it does lack the fact that you need a team full of support in order to make it useful. But other than that, his other 2 skills are pretty good, but overall I can't give him much more than a 3. And then for his Noble Phantasm, he does do some really solid damage, but for the overcharge effect, there aren't that many enemies that actually can take extra damage from him. So right now, he's only going to be able to get a 3-star in that. Maybe in the future, if they buff it up a little bit, or more enemies come out that can make use of the overcharge effect, it might get a little bit higher. But for now, that's what it's going to stay at. And then for his survivability, I'm also giving him a 3-star. He does have the guts and the somewhat of a little bit of a heal on his third skill, so that'll definitely keep him alive a little bit longer. But other than that, he doesn't have too much as far as defense or evasion or anything like that, so I can't give him too much more. So three stars again for survivability. So now for his versatility, you know, he doesn't really fit on too many teams because of his weakness of not being able to be good in crits. So you have to fill the void of your other servants with people that can make up for that weakness. So you pretty much can't use him with any rider, because riders will just be stealing all of his stars, which defeats the purpose of using him on the team. So you do just lose an entire class right there. Other than that though, you know, he is pretty solid on other teams, so I'm only going to give him a 2.5 out of 5 for his star ranking. And then for his overall ranking, I'm going to give him 3 out of 5. You know, he does have some pretty good stats and some pretty good skills. However, there is that slight drawback of not being able to do much with crits and you have to really put him on a support heavy team. So he does lose a little bit of points there, but overall he is a pretty solid servant, so 3 stars. So that's going to wrap up today's character spotlight, guys. I will leave you here with Rama's Noble Phantasm, and I will see you guys tomorrow.